I'm going to have fun with this video. I don't normally do things like this just because it's not profitable, but this is fun for me. So let's look at this comment that I got because it's fascinating. First off, he says, 9 biblical kings that never reigned. Now, there's a couple issues here. One with a spelling error at the end. I'm assuming you mean R-E-I-G-N-E-D. And also, this is an incomplete sentence, but I think I know what you're trying to get at. There's no archaeological evidence that certain of the biblical kings ever actually existed and reigned, and that's a very dangerous argument to make, because just because we don't have archaeological evidence that something existed doesn't mean it didn't happen. Okay? There is a lot of history out there that we don't know about just because it wasn't documented. So, 90% of Old Testament prophecies failed, including all the prophecies about the Jewish Messiah. So in order to believe this, you have to completely disregard the whole New Testament, because especially the book of Matthew was written from a point of view to intentionally tie Old Testament scripture to the person of Jesus Christ in the fulfillment of prophecies. You will see, as it is written, a lot in the Gospels. So, yeah, you just have to outright deny the testimony of the New Testament, and everything they ever said about Jesus was wrong. It was never prophesied that a man would be God. Hey, we agree. It was prophesied that God would become flesh. It was prophesied that God would condescend from heaven, not that a man would ascend to heaven. Man doesn't become God, but God became flesh. He took upon himself the form of a servant. The God of the Bible does nothing without notifying his prophets. Profits. Apparently we're talking about money here. Hebrews 1 does a good job of this, saying that God spake to us in time past through his prophets, Prophets, but hath in these last days spoken to us by his Son. So, anyway, okay. So there was no prophecy about a false prophet being crucified. You won't find a prophecy that specifically mentions the crucifixion, but you will read types and pictures, and you will see cursed is the one that hangs on the tree, and you'll see principles like that talked about. The picture of the crucifixion does fit beautifully with the shadows given in the Old Testament. But anyway, all right, Jesus made prophecies and 0 have come true. I guess, again, you just have to completely ignore what the scripture says. So, to not ignore what the scripture says, answer full according to his folly, answer not a fool according to his folly. That's in the book of Proverbs. I'll throw up the reference here. I was battling with how to respond to this, so I think I nailed it, though. This was how I responded. People on the internet, man. People on the internet.